deemed it necessary as young people to show the government that we are dissatisfied and we as young people are not happy in the way and manner in which this case is being handled, and we are calling them to listen to us as youth leaders, us as people that represent our own fellow youths in various organizations and in various regions, to heed with us on the decisions that we want to take in regard of this case. We want the National Youth Council to be autonomous, in a sense that the National Youth Council should be an independent youth institution, should be an independent youth organization that will represent the interest of young people of this country. The youth of this country has ever been united. The youth of this country has ever been speaking on one voice, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of demography, or among others. Whenever we come for a common good, we all speak on that common good. And we have seen with the succession of all other previous members of this council, Lamin stood to be one of the outstanding leaders of this council. Lamin has done his work properly, but as I said earlier, we are not looking into the personality effect of it. We want to be rational as well as young leaders. We are also looking into the institutional history, that if this happens today, what will happen tomorrow? So we can have many Lamin Darboes therein. Therefore, anything that we are doing as a government, anything that we are doing as responsible people, it should definitely follow the process that is going to please all stakeholders. As we said earlier, it is not bad to do anything in consultation with the people. If there was an uprising from the youth to say we don't want Lamin, or we don't want any person at the Youth Council, then it could have been something. But this is in the contrary. This is where young people stood up to say, no, you have taken somebody who has championed this. You have taken somebody who has took this institution from one level to another level. At least the least that Lamin could have got is a token of appreciation for his service not to be terminated. And we felt that with all what had happened, there was no true remorse in the letter that they sent to Lamin. In that case, we felt that it's important we face the government and talk to them and tell them that we, the young people of this country, are definitely not dissatisfied, and we want henceforth the National Youth Council to be independent and autonomous in the way it delivers its activities. However, we have our colleagues here who will be talking on these issues, and we have come with resolutions, and we are going to point out the resolutions and the way forward in those resolutions that my colleague LALA will talk about. But before that, I will just hand over the microphone to the chairperson of the Youth Council, who will brief us on the meeting that they had at their own level, at the council level, and the resolutions that they come with, which we are all going to put as one in our way forward in pursuing this case.
Let me first of all seek the blessing of my Lord, the Almighty Allah, by saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And we'll want to take this opportunity to thank all the media houses that are here present. I'll also want to thank the constituency that we're serving, that is the young people of this great country of ours, the Gambia. There is no National Youth Council without these young people. And there will be no young people when there is no Youth Council. So we are there serving young people, and based on the services that we provide for them and based on their needs, we will advise government to ensure that young people's issues are felt in every policy, in every programs, in everything that government does for young people. That is basically the responsibility of the National Youth Council. Moving from that, at the level of the council, I received a letter as the chairperson of the National Youth Council 2 days ago that my executive director was, services were terminated. As the chair of the council, I took it upon myself, even before meeting with my council, to first of all meet the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sport and his team at the office to have a prior discussion, because on the letter there was nothing advanced as to the reason why he was dismissed. His services were terminated. We went there, what they said, they were acting on the Act, the National Youth Council Act. The National Youth Council Act stipulated in one of the articles, I cannot remember the name of the article, but stated that the executive secretary should stay for 5 years and will be subjected to renewal. According to them, that's where they are holding on to, and they wanted to see change at the National Youth Council. I asked whether Lamin have done anything wrong, both financial malpractices or professional misconducts and all those stuffs. But they made it very clear that he has done nothing and he has no problem with anybody at the ministry. They just felt like they needed a new brain, a new person to come to the National Youth Council. I gave them the advice that I should give as chairperson of the National Youth Council, because that is my responsibility. As chairperson, I'm supposed to advise them on policy issues with regards to the council and regards to issues of young people. I told them, that to me, I will appeal if you people could rescind this decision, because the time we are, probably might not be that much conducive for us to go ahead with this decision. And as a result, I convened a council meeting, for an emergency council meeting for our council because when I talk to them as chairperson youth council, as an individual, but I felt I represented a whole nation where I have people that I work with in the same council. So I called for an emergency council meeting, and we've discussed as a council, and the decisions that we made was, you are our young people. You are the one we are serving. If you wanted us here, whatever decisions that you want to make, we will come. And therefore, we have identified a task force from our council, which is headed by myself as chairperson of the National Youth Council, with the female rep of the National Youth Council, NYIMANSATA CEESAY, with Lamin B. CEESAY, my chairperson for Kanifing, and Omar Jammeh, the chairperson for Central River Region, to serve as the task force committee, because despite young people that we are serving have their own approach to the issue, we cannot allow them to go alone. We have to be with them to ensure that we provide leadership in ensuring that this issue could not escalate to any other thing. And that's why we are here to provide that leadership. And the other thing is, according to our discussions, we did not, at the level of the council, we have agreed to write to the minister and his team at the office about the position of the National Youth Council, that we want them to reinstate Lamin, rescind their decision and reinstate Lamin for us to move on, probably up to certain times. That's what we've agreed as a council that we're going to write, and currently the program manager of the council is currently writing that letter that we're going to send to the minister. These are the few action points that we've taken as a council. And our engagement, the minister and the permanent secretary promised to get back to me. And that's why the whole of yesterday, even the media houses that get to me, I told them that I cannot comment, I cannot say anything until I hear from the ministry. So basically, this is the stance of the National Youth Council. We have met and we have taken decision that we're going to provide leadership in this whole entire program issue, and we will also going to write. And we implore on all the young people of this country to remain steadfast and to remain calm. We are going to provide that leadership that is required of us, that is to get to the government and negotiate, talk to them to ensure that we bring sanity back to National Youth Council. We will not go into any physical or whatsoever confrontation between us and the government, because our position as chairpersons or our position as a council is very sensitive in this sense, based on the fact that based on your issues, we advise government on that. And when government also have issues and policies that are supposed to be communicated to the young people, we do that. So we have a very sensitive issue in that. We will not leave the young people behind, and we will not let you people alone. We will be with you at every level of your struggle, because that's why we are there. And we will continue to provide that leadership for you until the time that we are all going to provide this an answer to this problem and a solution to this problem. Basically, that's what we've discussed as a council. Currently, our letters are, the letter that the council agreed to send to the ministry, they are writing, the program manager is writing it. From here, I'll go to the office and sign that, and it will be dispatched to the ministry probably on Monday, because I know there is no, offices have closed. And we have to listen to some of those things. And Lamin, at his end, has also write a petition to the Secretary General, at the office, Secretary General and Head of Civil Service. And he has also written back to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, telling them that, their decision is unlawful. We are waiting as a council to get a reply from the Secretary General and also to get a response from the ministry concerning the letter that Lamin wrote to them. So basically, this is the stance of the National Youth Council. And we want to thank the national youth organizations or the civil society for the stance that they have taken. We are with you, helter and skelter, to the last end, that we will find a solution to this problem and move forward to having a council that is independent, having a council that is not influenced by partisan politics, having a council that is not influenced by individual interests, but having a council that will live to represent the views and aspirations of the young people of this great country of ours, the Gambia. I thank you all.
Good afternoon, members of the civil society. Good afternoon, the members of the National Youth Council. We understand there are various chairpersons representing the council here. Good afternoon, viewers, and good afternoon, media. Like BABUCARR rightly mentioned, my name is TESLIMA, and I am a member of the civil society. And I'm also part of the members that came together to want to also express our dissatisfaction to the act or the decision of relieving the National Youth Council Executive Director of his services. First, one of the key reasons why we are dissatisfied was that we felt the ministry owe all the young people of this country an explanation. We won't accept our executive director that we have a very close working relationship, who we believe have served to assist capacity to the best interest of this country, but of course also doing as to what we feel is right. And sacking or relieving someone of his duties, we expect reasons to be also advanced. However, the chairman also mentioned in his speech, based on his engagement or the council's engagement with the ministry, that the ministry acted according to them, that based on the power that the act gave them. We would have also expected as a ministry, when doing such decisions, we expect this particular act to be cited. And because we understand the 2000 National Youth Council Act still exists. There are other acts. There is also an amended act that still also is in use by the council. And at the end of the day, there is conflict in the two, because they conflict at some point, especially in terms of who should fire who, and possibly the reasons. I am glad that the ministry also acknowledged that Lamin Darboe's dismissal has nothing to do with foul play or doing things that are not right. Also, we would just also want to mention that we would like to implore on the government to go back on this and rescind their decision and ensure that Mr. Darboe is reinstated. But of course, also, we also call on the government to also, for at least for the first time, because we feel as civil society that this government has not been considering us as young people. We are left out in so many ways, and we felt that this is possibly an attack to us as young people. And we believe government could do better, especially the ministry, in ensuring that young people have a level ground to play, but of course also we are treated fairly. On that note, I will still reiterate my call for the government to reconsider its decision, but of course also act accordingly, and of course come out and explain to us the reasons why Mr. Darboe is actually sacked.
Chairperson, National Youth Council, council members, CSO'S, media, good afternoon to you all. I am NYIMANSATA CEESAY, the National Female Rep at NYC. We all know we're in a critical condition at the moment as far as young people of this country is concerned. It's a shocking news to everybody. The moment we had the news, Lamin has been dismissed from NYC as the executive director. So it is very, very disheartening for the government to take such decision. So I am calling on the government to, especially the Minister of Youth and Sport, to look at the decision what they have taken. Because Lamin, being the National Youth Council Executive Director, has done a great job with the council members. So for that being the case, the decision have to be looked at again, at least to reinstate Lamin and see the job well done he is doing for the country. Because when you see since he came into office, there are a lot of good job he has been done, even at the regional level. Everybody in this country, as far as young people is concerned, we can all attest to that. So for that being the case, and we urging young people also, let's take the situation calm, we work in the solidarity, so that what we want, that can be achieved. Because as a young people, we have the percentage, the higher percentage in this country. So for that being the case, our voices have to be heard in this country. So with that note, I am urging everybody, let's stay calm and work this thing in a dialogue so that we can see the way forward. We will have what we want in this country, inshallah, as far as young people is concerned. I am thanking you all.
Thank you very much, BABUCARR. Thank you, Chairman, National Youth Council, my colleague TESLIMA, and National Female Representative at the National Youth Council of the Gambia. I have been saying this since the news of Lamin's dismissal got to us as youth leaders in this country. And we have expressed our dissatisfaction with the dismissal and the manner in which the dismissal was done by the Ministry of Youth and Sports. But this is not just about the dismissal of Lamin Darboe as the Executive Director of the National Youth Council. For a lot of us, this is standing up to make sure that the National Youth Council does not become a part of partisan politics in this country. That the National Youth Council continues to be an institution that stands to represent the needs of every single young person in this country. That the National Youth Council continues to respect and work with young people regardless of their political affiliation, regardless of their demographic background, regardless of their gender, what they believe in, or the religious practices that they follow. This is something that we have been talking about for the longest time, and the fact that the ministry took this step to dismiss Lamin, and we've had, when we came here today, we said we were not going to get emotional with our conversations, that we were going to come out here and make our demands known and take a clear stance as to what we want to be done as young people of this country. But it is rather unfortunate that somebody in a position as high as the Deputy Permanent Secretary will go on national TV and make allegations like he did at the National Youth, the Executive Director of the National Youth Council. we as young people who have been working with this man for the longest time have came out in our large numbers to express how dissatisfied we are and how much of a good leader he was. If there were any issues of incompetence, it should have been from us as the youth fraternity and not the deputy permanent secretary. And he did it in the least professional and unethical ways on national TV, which takes us to the conversation that this is just beyond dismissing someone for any other reason but personal grudges, which clearly are behind the motives as to why he was dismissed. Now, coming back to our demands, for us, this is not just about getting Lamin back, reinstated back as the executive director of the National Youth Council. For us, this is us building and standing up for an institution, the only institution that we can look up to or go back to as young people when we want our rights respected and promoted in this country. For the longest time, we've been labeled and tagged and called names, called lazy, all these things, and we've let them go. But this one, we're saying no, that we are not going to stand by and let it go, that we are going to do whatever it is that we can do within the our legal rights to make sure that not only Lamin is reinstated, but we look into the amendment of all instruments that empowers the government to have interference in the work of the National Youth Council as an institution. We want autonomy, complete autonomy. We don't want to be semi-autonomous. We want complete autonomy. We want independence. We want to be able to serve our mandate without interference from the government through its ministry of the youth and sports. This is what we want, and this is clearly going to be on the top of our scale of preference when we make our demands to the state about this issue. And we are also going to make sure that moving on, we've been called radicals before for taking onto the streets to protest for our rights. We've been labeled and called names for exercising our democratic and constitutional rights to protest and freedom of assembly and association. So what we are going to do this time as civil society, as youth leaders, we will not take on the streets and protest. We might not take on the streets and protest, might not. But what we are going to do, if the government does not take a stance to reinstate Lamin Darboe, if the government does not take a stance to work with us to amend the act that gives them the power to interfere in the institution of the National Youth Council, as civil society, we are going to boycott the National Youth Council. We will not have anything to do with the National Youth Council. We will not work with the National Youth Council. We will continue our work to impact the lives of young people, of our people on the ground, and impact change on our own. And maybe it might be difficult to do this. Maybe it might be difficult to take a stance on our own, but we are going to do what we have to do to make sure the government gives us the respect we deserve as young people of this country. Now, it is about time that we stop it is about time that the government stops turning to young people when they need us. It is about time they respect us after elections. It is about time they respect us after they need us to be their campaign materials. We are saying that it is not happening again, that we are used as campaign tools when they need us, and we are thrown behind the back of the building after they are done, and we are not consulted in any of their policy-making processes. We are not consulted in any of their decision-making processes. We are marginalized and sidelined, and they do to us what they want to do to us, and we are saying it's enough. We've had enough of that, and we are not going to allow it again. And as young people, we are going to stand together. We are going to speak in one voice. We are going to take our stance, and we are going to make sure that it is respected by the government that we voted into office to represent and serve in our best interest. Thank you very much.